Hello, welcome to my channel. For those of you who are joining me for the first time, I'm Lexi Serrano and I'm a real estate licensed broker here in North Carolina with eXp Realty. And today I want to talk to you about the Working with Real Estate Agents brochure. This brochure was created by the North Carolina Real Estate Commission in order to inform you, the consumer, that's either buyer or seller, just as to the different types of agency relationships that are available with your real estate agent. So without further ado, let's get to it. The first thing that I want to emphasize is that this brochure is not a contract. It is information meant to protect you, the consumer, and requires us as professionals to disclose the options available to you, and also to make sure you understand what having an agency relationship with a realtor means and what you can expect from us. So now that I've explained to you what this brochure is, let's talk about some of the details. The first type of agency relationship that's described in this brochure is going to be that for a seller. Now, if you want to sell your house or your property and you want to be represented by an agent, you would sign something called a listing agreement. And by the way, that is a contract, not between me and you, between you and the firm. You might be asking yourself why I said a contract between you and the firm. Well, while the individual agent is the one you have chosen to work with, the entire firm has a responsibility to you upon signing this agreement. In my case, not only would I owe you all the client duties, but so would every agent at eXp Realty. So the brochure talks about a list of duties that an agent owes their client, and I'm going to talk about these point by point. Number 1, I must obey all of your lawful instructions. For instance, you choose the listing price, when showings are allowed, where I can advertise. The list goes on and on. I am here to advise, not dictate. Remember, you're the boss. Number 2, I must be loyal to you and promote your best interests. Yes, I will make money on this transaction, but I cannot and will not put my needs above yours. Number 3, I must disclose to you any material facts, which are facts that could influence your decision. Now, this is a bit tricky because North Carolina has determined that disclosure of material facts is necessary in all situations to all people, no matter who I represent. Even if you don't sign a listing agreement with me, I must disclose anything I know within my professional capacity to you. And even if I represent you, I have the legal obligation to disclose any material facts to any buyers that might come along. But don't worry, disclosure doesn't mean I will share your personal information. That's a separate category, and it's next on the list. Number 4, I must keep your information confidential. I cannot share any personal information about you to anybody without your express permission. But until you have a signed agreement with me, for your sake, please do not share any personal information with me. If you do, and I don't have a signed agreement, I am legally obligated to share what I know to any buyers that I might represent in the future. Number 5, I must account for all monies that are involved in the transaction. It is part of my job to make sure that I handle any due diligence or earnest money in a responsible manner, and to make sure that I follow the law when it comes to any money I might come into contact with. And number 6, I must use reasonable skill, care, and diligence in representing you. People work with real estate agents on the assumption that we are the expert in our field, and so we must live up to that by being professional and always staying up to date on our real estate knowledge. When you sign a listing agreement, the agent will offer you the ability to opt for dual agency. This would allow for the agent and or firm to represent both the buyer and the seller at the same time. When you check this box, by the way, it doesn't mean that you are automatically going to be in a dual agency situation, but it does allow for your agent to bring buyers that they are currently working with to view your home. Dual agency limits the agent's duties to you, and at that point, I would only be required to be honest and fair to both parties, acting more as a mediator than a representative. In North Carolina, we have a specific kind of dual agency called designated dual agency. In this case, both you, the seller, and the buyer would be represented by the same firm, in my case, eXp Realty. But each party would have their own agent. You would have me, and the buyer would be represented by someone else with eXp Realty. Designated agency allows you to have access to the most buyers without compromising the level of representation that you get. As your agent, I would owe you all the fiduciary duties I mentioned earlier, and the buyer's agent would owe their client the same. Okay, so we went through all the different options that you have as a seller. Now let's talk about buyers. Okay, as a buyer, you have 3 basic options. Let's talk about those. Option number 1 is exclusive buyer agency. Now, this is mutually beneficial because I owe you all the fiduciary duties that we talked about, right? That's going to be loyalty, obedience, disclosure of material facts, confidentiality, accountability, the reasonable skill and care. And in exchange, it also gives me the assurance that you are not working with any other brokers to find a home. Option number 2 is, again, dual agency, either me representing both you and the seller, or a designated agency where I represent you and someone else from my firm represents the seller. By the way, if I didn't mention this earlier, dual agency cannot happen in a transaction unless it has been agreed in writing by both parties ahead of time. Unlike a listing agreement, a buyer agency agreement does not have to be in writing initially. However, the North Carolina Real Estate Commission does require it to be put to writing before any offer is made on a home. Option number 3 is that you can choose to solicit my help as a sub-agent to the seller. In this case, make sure you don't tell me anything personal or confidential, as my duties would be to the seller and not to you. I would only help you facilitate the transaction. All right, guys, so I know that was a little bit long, but that's pretty much all you need to know about the Working with Real Estate Agents brochure. If you are watching this because I sent you the link, most likely I will be sending you the actual Working with Real Estate Agents form via email. Please sign it. Like I said, it's not a contract. You're not binding yourself to me or to anything. I just need to let the commission know that I've shared this with you so that your rights are protected and everything is kosher and good to go for when we start looking at houses or selling your home. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!